What is up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours of nonstop NBA DFS conversation. It starts right now, taking y'all at the lock, 7 o'clock on the East Coast. We have a bit of a sprint slate. Yeah, it is a sprint slate. 2, 2, and 2. 2 games at 7, 2 games 7:30, 2 games 8 o'clock, and that's it. Both sides were smart enough to dump the final game that I think is Phoenix and Golden State, the back half of the ESPN doubleheader. Myself, Head Chopper, two-time millionaire, whenever we're here for the next hour, 15, 20 minutes or so. You got the birthday boy, Bobby Gomes, coming in later for crunch time. Kevin Roth holding it down. And TJ Zwarych. I want to see the return of TJ. I feel like I haven't seen TJ in a while. Probably doing some Agents of fandom stuff, some movie stuff. I'm not sure. Curious. I want to catch up with TJ. I assume that's what he's up to on his other sites. Chopper, it's a Friday. We were talking pre-show about the All-Star stuff. I was laughing about Trae Young complaining, like, being snubbed. He called it being trade, which is like, somebody's got to give that dude a reality check. He's like, I'm one of the top 24 players in the league. He's like, no, you're not, pal. Like, no, you're not. Like, I don't even know what he's looking at. Like, whatever, empty stats, sure, I guess. He's leading the league in assists. And Chop, this one always bothers me. And hi, Chop. How you doing? Everything all right? Everything good?
Yeah, it's Friday. We're hanging in there. We're gonna have a little fun today. I don't know what our topic is, but we'll get to it in a minute. But yeah, it's good Friday, man. I'm ready to have a good time here. I just not to sidetrack you, but I just last night reserved my tickets for the Houston Cougars on February 22nd down at the Fertitta Center. So be on the lookout for me.
Who's coming in?
Iowa State. It may be just a battle for the Big 12 title. It may be the two best teams.
UCF's not battling for it?
Probably not. They have too many losses. But this is definitely the best two teams in the Big 12. I had to get my tickets, so I'll be hanging with the Dream and Kendrick Perkins and the boys. You know how it goes, Dean.
Who's the Dream?
Olajuwon.
You and Olajuwon are boys? I know Hakeem Olajuwon is the Dream, but I know you guys are boys. He goes to the games?
Oh, he goes to a lot of the Houston, especially on the Saturday games. This will be on a Saturday. So, yeah, he usually brings a guest. Sometimes it's Big Perk. Sometimes it's some other Houston players from back in the day. So, lots of Texans flow in there. C.J. Stroud, Tank Dell, the boys, always in and out of the Fertitta Center. It'll be fun. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, enjoy that. That'll be fun for sure. As fun as college basketball can be. Take my shots. But
Dean, I'm not gonna lie, Dean. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying college basketball this season a lot more than I am in NBA. If we're being perfectly honest,
really?
Like the flow of the games they're different, obviously, but just in terms of entertainment value, I'm finding college basketball to be a little bit better than the NBA this year. I don't know why. I'm just kind of over the NBA, man. Regular season.
I was gonna ask, set up a poll question for today. Which do you prefer? That's like a late entry. I was going to ask if Trae Young, if you really believe Trae Young got snubbed, because I can't believe I'm on an island in this one. And the other thing is, this is my what's grinding my gears. What's grinding my gears. Chop. People do this. They love doing this. Oh, so and so got snubbed. This person got snubbed. They make a whole list of who got snubbed. You know what they don't do? Chop? They don't tell you the 6 guys the 6 guys got snubbed. Now you got to replace 6 guys. You got to kick 6 guys off the team. Oh, no, those guys are all-stars too. Yeah, that's how it works. It's a math thing. It's a numbers game. They didn't get snubbed. Yeah.
Well, it's debatable on some of it. You're splitting hairs, and a lot of this they're going by stats, and we know that just counting stats really aren't the big deal. But I would throw a couple of things out there that I think should have been a little bit different, Dean. Like, okay. James Harden deserves to be an all-star, okay? But if I was James Harden, this is just my personality. We have different personalities, Dean. But if I was James Harden, I would go.
Me or you and James Harden?
If I was James Harden myself.
I got you.
And I got voted all-star again for the millionth time, I would go to whoever is in charge, I would say, you know what? I want to sit out the all-star game if you can let my teammate Norman Powell take my place and be a first-time and probably only-time all-star, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Norman Powell's
that's a pity that he's a pity all-star.
No, because he's put up the numbers and that team is drastically overachieved. He probably deserves something, but it's not Probably not in the same vein as these all-stars, those kind of numbers, but like maybe if I'm Harden, I do that, there's something like that. I could, you could cut some holes in the cases of some of these guys and put somebody else in there. And
But Harden wants on his resume, like whatever he's all said and done, he wants all-star, 9-time, 12-time. He wants that number to be counted.
Well, he probably still get it if he says, you know what, my ankle hurts. I don't want to play if Norman Powell can be my replacement. And he'll still get credit for the all-star, but then so will Powell. Norman Powell will never get another shot at it like this.
No, he had the perfect storm, basically.
Yeah, and then
he's been great.
Yeah, we were talking pre-show a little bit. There's a couple guys you probably could have put in over Tyler Hero, but you're splitting hairs on all that stuff. Yeah, I get it, man. So I'm fine with it. Maybe I'm a Rockets guy, but I could see the case for Sabonis over Şengün, things like that. It's all good. It's Maxey. I see the name Maxey in chat. Now, Maxey, that's a tough one to pass up on. Like, you
have to kick somebody off.
I know. Well, Tyler Hero, goodbye. Hasn't Jaylen Brown missed a lot of games this year? Like, there's pieces there that
Cunningham deserves it. Lillard, Garland, Mobley.
Siakam is borderline. I mean, Maxey is really, he's been very good.
The Ball thing, like, could Ball even play in the All-Star game? Do we even know? He's missed a bunch of games and his team stinks. Like, I don't know if he would be available at this point. His ankle gave out when he was celebrating a three. It was kind of
was it?
Did you see the play? You didn't see the play?
I did not.
He was kind of like backpedaling. He was like backpedaling. When you hit a three and you kind of backpedal, you know what's going in, and he tripped on somebody that was behind him. And who knows how long that's going to be? But the Trae Young one is the one that set me off. It's like, you got to be kidding me, Trae Young. I know he's been dealing with an injury and he gets the most out of his body, right? Undersized and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like he's kind of overachieved where I thought he was going to be at the start of his career. But good fantasy player, of course. But, is he really helping you win games?
Well, another one, I'll give you this one. I'll throw this one out there. What kind of, as you would say, Dean, grinded my gears. And we got only 6 games. We'll get to it. We got plenty of time. What grinded my gears, Dean, was when I heard Mark Cuban come on and go, "Oh, you guys snubbed Doncic and Kyrie. How can you even have an all-star game without those two guys?"
Luka?
Give me a break. Luka's missed half the year, man.
Yeah. And he won't even be available probably.
Yeah, that was Cuban, though. That was Cuban saying that.
That's his guys, or was it?
But that grinded me down a little bit right there. Those guys. I mean, Kyrie, could make a case for him, but Luka for sure not, man. Hell no.
No. In the Western Conference, Edwards, Harden, Davis, Triple J, Şengün, Jalen Williams, and Wemby. Like, who are you putting him in over? Who you put him in? Nobody, I don't think. Anyways. Shout out to Hoosiers Hang Banners. Had my best finish in the dime last night, finishing 7th, 316 points. Shout out to you. Everybody else, hit that like button. Do subscribe. If you're in the chat, join the conversation as well. Oh, yeah, it's not a Film Friday for the very first time. Unprecedented, Chop. Get ready. You know what it is? It's a Franchise Friday. It's a Franchise Friday. What does that mean? Well, it's just like Film Friday, except sports franchises. You got to tell me what sports franchise we're talking about. I'm going to drop one clue every 10 minutes or so. First clue is already dropping as we speak. Producer Steve's on top of it. Graduate is the first clue in the Discord. RotoGrinders.com/Discord, a live stream chat channel. It is a basketball show after all. It is a sports show, so I figured we should do a little bit more sports stuff as far as our giveaways. Tell me what sports franchise I am talking about with these clues. And only one guess per. You cannot spam the chat. Do hit it off. And just, again, if you do it in the YouTube channel, shout out to you, but it doesn't count if you get it right. We got to do it in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. It is not a Freaky Friday, unfortunately. Maybe next Friday we'll do that, Lord King Guru. But this Friday is a Franchise Friday.
And you said it was a sports franchise?
Yeah, like a soccer team, baseball, hockey, basketball.
Not like Fast and Furious franchise.
No, nothing to do with movies. It's nothing to do with movies.
Okay.
It's the name of a sports franchise. Yeah, I don't want to name one to start eliminating teams, but theoretically it could be the Detroit Pistons. But it might not be. It'd be weird if it was, because that would just give the game away. But why would I do that if that's the actual thing? Because now that would be silly, right? But now somebody's going to guess that Detroit Pistons just in case. I was clowning around. All right. 6-gamer tonight, Chop. Nobody on the back end of a back-to-back. Chop with your guess.
That's a good guess.
That is a good guess, but it is not. It is not UCF. It's not the UCF Knights, former national champions. It's not the Houston Cougars either. I'll tell you that. You can knock those out as well, but I do appreciate that guess. 0 teams are playing the back half of a back-to-back. There are the Hornets are in the front half, Denver's in the front half, San Antonio in the front half. The Suns are as well. We don't care about the Suns because they are not on our slate. Major body parts as far as who's in and who's out. Not major ones. We get an upgrade for Dante Exum, who's questionable. Not a big deal. Batum downgraded midday to questionable. Also, probably not a big deal, despite the fact that it is a revenge game for Batum. TXT still questionable. Josh Green is probable for the Hornets. So there's somebody that will play for Charlotte tonight. Who else is playing? We don't know. We may see Emmanuel Quickly. He's officially questionable. Kelly O is still questionable. He's been missing. And Grady Dick, your guy Dick, is questionable as well for Toronto. Anything else of note? Philadelphia, nothing's changed. Same nonsense. Horford expected to play. Hauser officially questionable. And we got a midday downgrade for Zion, questionable for illness. So, I mean, who knows what? Maybe he's legitimately ill. There's rumors of him as far as the trade block. So you never really know. DeJounte Murray is available. We did get Jordan Hawkins also ruled out earlier. Anything else of note? I don't think so. Like San Antonio pretty clean. Yeah, I don't think we're waiting for a lot. I guess Zion's the big one, and that's later. And we also got Tice out, so no Daniel Tice revenge against his old Celtics team. So it could be Misi basically all by himself. Exum to make his season debut. Is that officially in? Did I miss that? Was he officially upgraded? Not that it matters a ton because Dallas is more, their bigs is where they're thinner. But is Exum officially in? Maybe he is, and I just missed that. Chop, something we're monitoring before we dive in. I guess Zion's a pretty big one against Boston. They're probably going to lose either way. But if he goes out, usage will certainly shuffle. And then maybe like JRE, those kind of guys might be introduced as fringe plays. Misi will probably have more minutes as a projection as well. And Porzingis is just going to rip them. What do you got there, Chopper?
What am I supposed to have?
I'm asking, is there anything? I mean, I think Zion's the big one. Is there anything else of note? Anything else you have your eye on?
Well, no. I don't think there's any. Well, I don't think even if he played these limited minutes, Jamal Shed. Well, we'll talk about it. No, we'll talk about it as we go. I don't really.
Shed's out, by the way, or doubtful.
Yeah, he's doubtful. I got him as out. So
yeah,
but I don't think Quickly is really going to extend himself tonight, regardless. So that doesn't really do anything for me. Zion, that game in general is going to be interesting when we talk about it. So we could dive on in.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's do it. Let's do the thing. Let's do our first game here, 7 o'clock. Clippers, Hornets. I have some notes in this as well, by the way. I'll mention it in a second. Well, you know what? Let me just, you want me to run off my notes for this game? So 208.5 is the total, Chop. 208.5 is the total. The Clippers are, 13-point favorites here. See who's officially in, who's officially out. Batum got the questionable. But I did see the note there in Exum. Apparently he's on track to make his season debut. I don't know how many minutes he'll play, but noted it seems like he's going to participate in some basketball this evening, which is that's good. As far as the Hornets, snubbed LaMelo Ball is out tonight. He's protesting. That's what's going on there. Cody Martin's out. Brandon Miller, of course, out for the season. I think Trey Mann, is he out for the season? No, well, he's out. Is he out for the season? He's definitely out tonight. Let's see. Mark Williams they're giving him a foot. Maybe he plays tomorrow. Who knows? But it is the front end of a back-to-back for Charlotte. But we also know that they're doing everything they can to continue to lose games. Clippers, big favorites here, Chop. This is the lowest total on the board, right? 208.5 is the lowest total on the board by, I think, 21 points. Since it's the last 15 games. I should have had this prepared. I have it written down, and I did not pull up what I had written down. You know what? I'm going to throw it to you, and I'm going to retort with the things I had for you. But some interesting stats, I thought. But I don't really think this game's all that interesting, and I know we have super chalky Diabate, and I think I'm going to try to fade him. I think that's one of my main edges on the slates.
Well, I'd start off with the Clippers and say with Kawhi back and playing about roughly getting up to 30 minutes a game almost. It's kind of, I don't know that I'm very interested. Even in a good matchup, it's tough to get very interested in too many of these guys at their price tags. So, yeah, I'm not sure I want to go that route. Harden's 93 on DraftKings. That's big. Zubac is priced up. Everybody's priced up except for Kawhi, and probably a 30 minutes cap on him. So I don't know that I want to go that route. So it kind of takes the Clippers off the board. For Charlotte, we're missing Ball. We're missing Mark Williams. I think obviously Miles Bridges is going to have a green light. Probably going to put up a big number at 8,500. Miocic is going to be chalky, I would imagine. 5,500. He's, a lot of people are probably going to play him. I think there's a piece of me that probably wants to go KJ Simpson over him. I don't know how KJ Simpson's going to project with ownership. Well, I don't think I've seen an updated one lately.
Not well.
Yeah, I think, ultimately, I think we're looking at a game that could be a blowout, could get out of hand. Simpson could get more run in the end. I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of this thing, Simpson had more minutes tonight than Miocic. So kind of interested in him. I think we've talked about it on the show before. He has some DFS skills. He has a pretty decent game for that. He's not like just when you're rostering one of those guys who stands out at the 3-point line and just does nothing on offense, just waits, sets picks, and then goes back for defense. No, he'll handle the ball and he'll do some things. He'll dish out some dimes. So he's a pretty solid player. I don't mind KG Simpson. Diabate, and yeah, I'll probably be on par with the field, depending, if the field's at about a quarter ownership, 25% or so, I'm probably on par with the field. Anything over that, I'm under the field. I don't think I want to be overweight on him. I'm kind of with you right there. I think this game ends up being, at some point, kind of a blowout.
I kind of feel the same way. It is a revenge game for Moussa Diabate. That changes things for you. What's your most memorable moment for Diabate on the Clippers? You got one? I don't think I have one off the top of my head.
I actually didn't know he played for the Clippers.
So I mentioned before, there's 6 games tonight, right? There's 6 games. This team total, collective total, game total, 21 points lower than the second lowest game. Charlotte has the 3rd worst offensive basketball on the season, 108.1. And that's with Ball, snubbed all-star, LaMelo Ball, with Miller. They're distinctly worse. Okay, now let's get to the defense, right? Last 15 games, right? Last 15 games, the Clippers and the Hornets have 2 of the NBA's top 3 rated defense. That's right. The Hornets and the Clippers, top 2 of the 3 as far as defense last 15 games. I'm not expecting a lot of points this game. My bold call today in the expert survey is that the Hornets score less than 85 points. I just think that the Hornets offense, and there were that Williams as well, it's just going to – I don't know how they function. Like it's basketball. They're going to score some points. You have to. They're professionals. They can make shots. I just think it's going to be really, really rough. And now Diabate, the counterpoint is, by the way, you said 25%. He's currently 40% projected. So that's a huge number.
Big number, Dean.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. Here's a question for you. I know you don't have the answer, but I'm just throwing it out there, Dean.
Yeah,
throwing it out there. So Charlotte, you said the last 15 games, this defense, how much of that I bet coincides with Mark Williams getting more run? He is a phenomenal rim protector, and now he's out. So I wonder if the defense kind of falters again.
I don't know. You're certain that Williams is a good defender? Because I don't think he is.
He's a rim protector.
Okay. I don't think of him as a good defensive player, but I could be wrong. I don't have the stats in front of me. And like Taj can still to some degree, he's going to start. And I think Diabate, I mean, he's got to stick around for his defense, right? For his size. So I don't know if it's much of a downgrade with Diabate getting more run, and it hurts them offensively. Mark Williams is much better offensively than Diabate. And that's the one argument for Diabate is like, okay, you're expecting a lot of missed shots. So maybe he can get there with like 13 rebounds, and some putbacks, some garbage stuff, a couple stocks here and there. And he's still pretty cheap. By the way, I misspoke. I said 40%. Given a refresh. And I really like the centers in the slate. Always. You always like the centers, right? And this is their top priority. FanDuel, you get 1. DK, you get 2. And we're getting him at 40.96% on DK. I think that's one of the things. I mean, is he going to put up 25, 24? Probably. But do you need that? If he puts up 35, then I'm feeling it, But I think that's what I'm not. I haven't made my lineups yet, of course. The slate is fluid, but the plan is to have less Diabate than the field, especially in single entry. I'm trying, because that's where that stuff gets really condensed. People just don't like to be ballsy in single entry contests. They like to play the chalk and play it safe. And yeah,
I'd like to also say that our buddy Butthole Jenkins is in chat, and his guess is Top Gun. But I need to tell Butthole, we're not talking movie. We're not talking film Friday. We're franchise Friday, as in sports franchises, Butthole. So it won't be a movie. But let me tell you something.
If it's
Graduate, that's a hell of a guess for a movie. Graduate, I like that. I like.
It would have been even better, Chop. It would have been even better if he actually did it in the Discord channel. But then even if he was right and it was Film Friday,
my guy does not go to the. My guy is not in Discord.
I understand. He's a rebel. I understand. I get it. We do have a lot of guesses. Duke, the Bulls, Atlanta Falcons, the Spurs, North Carolina. A lot of names being thrown out there.
We need a clue number 2. Is what
let's give another clue. Maybe this should be helpful in theory. The second clue is tough. Graduate and tough. Those are our first 2 clues. Let me know what franchise we're talking about. Be first. Only 1 guess per. No MMEing. We'll drop another clue in about 10 minutes or so. So, yeah, I think Zubac is really interesting. We saw he absolutely annihilated Wemby the other night, just fully smashed. And I think Zubac's good. You mentioned the Kawhi thing. I like him a little bit more on FanDuel. Just, basically I think it's the same price, or it's $7K over there. The minutes are almost full, right? He's right there on the fringe, about 30. I don't know if there's one more tick left in him, but 30 should be good enough. But again, this is, to me, it's like kind of a scratch out. And you mentioned Micic. I just don't want any. I think he's priced up where kind of he should be. I don't want any of this nonsense. And Bridges is like, he's got to put up like 50. He can, but and I know that all the usage you can point to, it's going to be Bridges, but I don't think Charlotte's going to be very efficient. It's sort of my bet. So I got nothing else as far as Clippers and Hornets. How about yourself? The other 7 o'clock game is the Dallas Mavericks, the Detroit Pistons. 228.5 is the total. It's high-ish. 228. It's not low. It's right there in the middle, but it's definitely tight. Beef stew. By the way, I don't want to say I called it, but I did reference Beef stew getting an ejection. You never know with this guy. He can get ejected in a game, and he got ejected. Then I'm not taking the victory lap on that one, but yeah, I think he got suspended because of an accumulation of flagrants. He's the guy I remember that wanted to murder LeBron a couple years ago.
That guy needs a little anger management class. I ain't
gonna talk to Jack.
Some guys are like that.
Yeah. He gets a little feisty on the court sometimes. So he's not playing basketball tonight for Detroit. Which, if you want to be super, super ambitious, if you're running a bunch of lineups, Paul Reed, I don't think it's completely bonkers. If you want to do that, I don't think it's completely nuts. Not like tonight. Jalen Duren, assuming he stays out of foul trouble and that kind of stuff, he probably should get 30 minutes, so he gets a bit of a boost as well. Nothing else. Ivy is out. He'll be out for a while, it appears. Looks like Exum's going to be available for Dallas. All-star snub. Luka's out. And then Maxey, of course. Maxey Kleber done for the year, I think. Lively's gone. Powell's gone. Gafford has been awesome, but, the price has certainly got up there. And PJ Washington's also been awesome. And Chop just guessed Franchise Friday.
Did I get it? Oh, my God. Did I get it, Dave?
You did get it. Did somebody else get it? Or no? Look at you, Chop.
I'm not looking at anybody else.
That is amazing. And there's no way I didn't tell Steve. I told Steve privately where you wouldn't have seen it. Look at you, Chop. Amazing. That's very, very impressive.
No, I'm not going to lie, Dean. the clues were okay, but I think knowing you is what kind of, that's all I'm going to say. That's the only clue I'm going to give
Really?
that's the only clue I'm going to give to the people. You got to narrow down the franchises. We're talking about a whole myriad of sports out there and franchises. I had to narrow it down in my head based on what would Dean be thinking about today.
That is amazing.
See where I'm going there?
Well, no, but that I think you got there, but in a different route. But that's pretty impressive. Okay, back to Dallas and Detroit. As far as ownership, Cunningham is a big spend. That's certainly interesting. Certainly worth a peek. It got to be in your pool if you're running a bunch of lineups. We have Beasley currently is the highest projected guy, which is a little bit surprising. It's also because the slate doesn't have a lot of value, right? There's not a lot of great value plays in the slate. So he's kind of like one of those guys that makes stuff work at like a 5X-ish. He's 5-1 on DK. His projections around 27. We got him currently at 19%. Jalen Duren also 19%. I was surprised to see. I thought Paul Reed would be sneakier at 16%. Again, that speaks to the nature of the slate, where there's just not a ton of value. I don't know if I love him at 16%, to be honest. Cunningham 13, Hardaway, THJ at 12, and then Washington at 11 is the most popular player for Dallas. And I think that's pretty appealing. He's been playing an insane amount of minutes, the ability to bunch of threes. We saw he really peppered the box score last time out. You mentioned Kyrie. He's not going to be well owned either. What is your assessment of Dallas and Detroit?
B-ball Paul, a little 20% B-ball Paul tonight. If you're into that kind of thing, I don't know. 3K for Paul Reed. He's I don't know. He might make some lineups. If I'm going to go double superstar, you get the revenge on Tim Hardaway Jr. Don't know if I don't think I'll ever roster him again, so I don't think so. I don't know. After that, Jalen Duren's okay. Yeah, I like Jalen Duren a little bit. He's got some good pieces to a game, but I'm still okay. I'm trying to read your chat and try to read the other chat. I'm gonna
multitask.
Yeah. Anyway, I think I misrepresented what I was thinking, Dean. So I'll tell you in a minute. But so yeah, for Dallas, you could always 7,400 now for Gafford's big, but I still think there's something within those within his game that can get there against Detroit. Kyrie 8,800. Maybe he does the whole all-star snub thing, and goes crazy. So you get that going for you. PJ Washington's going to get a big projection after that. I don't want any of these. Dinwiddie and Klay Thompson and Q Grimes are too expensive for their projections for me to worry about any of that. But it's an unappealing game, and it's also a 6:00 game. It kind of doesn't, I like the slate being condensed, and I can multi-enter tonight. But I also don't have a problem with skipping one of these 6:00 games like this and waiting on a little bit of news coming for later on. So I'm not super into this game, but Jalen Duren always has upside in the right situation, and along with Gafford. Too many centers, though. You got to be careful with all that. So, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I like both the centers in this game. And again, I think Reed is kind of interesting. I just wish he was a little bit less owned. We're giving him 17 minutes for what it's worth. Basically, the straight backup 5, right? Well, not exactly. We're giving 17-30 to Duren. That's the other part of this game, right? Neither one of these teams, you can argue, Chop, neither one of these teams have a backup 5, right? Dallas, all their 5s are hurt. Markieff Morris, he could play 5. Kyler Kelly could be 5, but they're probably not dusting off either one of those. And, Detroit without Beef Stew, this game's certainly going to go small, and I guess that can bite Reed as well. But, yeah. And Washington can play some 5, some backup 5 when Gafford steps out. But, yeah, I don't really love this game either. If I was making a bunch of lineups, for sure, I'd have some Cunningham. I definitely have some Washington. I'd play both some Duren and Gafford, and I would get a sliver of Paul Reed just in case. Speaking of Paul Reed, his former team is the next game up. It's Denver. It's Denver and Philly. Before we do that, let's go ahead and drop that third clue. Chop already knows it. He's victory lapping at this point, but some people haven't figured it out just yet. The third clue, Chop, for Franchise Friday. Give me the full name, by the way, when you're entering it, just in case. When you're entering it in the Discord channel, the third clue is pink. Graduate, tough, and pink. think is the third clue. Denver taking on Paul Reed's former team, the 76ers. They probably could use him, actually. Philly, this, by the way, ESPN again. They couldn't get out of this one. I feel like Philly is always on national TV. They can't get out of these. They're 9-point dogs at home. 233.5 is the total. As far as Philadelphia, who's in and who's out, nothing really new here. No Drummond, no Embiid, no Paul, no Martin. That's both KJ and Caleb. And, of course, we know McCain is done for the year, and Denver is fully healthy. We did see Aaron Gordon jump in the starting lineup last game, so he's probably underpriced if we're going to assume he sticks in the starting lineup. Christian Brown came off the bench. We have Gordon projected, I think, close to 29 minutes or so, so he seems like at least he hasn't been good, but he seems like a good math play, if nothing else. By the way, by his standards, Joker hasn't been great by Joker standards. I'm not saying not besmirching, he's incredible, but he needs to put up 80 for you, or 75 or 70 at least to get excited when your roster. You have the funds delegated his way. Denver and Philly, the 76ers, Chop. What do we have as far as this game for you?
Yeah, that's quite the chalk on Aaron Gordon. I don't know if I like that too much. I don't like going that. I don't think I'm going to get there. I don't know what his upside is against Philly. I know he's only 4,400, but even at 4,400, he can still put up an egg here, man, like a real stinker. So I don't like that ownership. I'll be way under the field on him. Some of the other guys are fine. They should. I don't know if it's a blowout because Denver's not that good this year and Philly's at home at least. So I think it's halfway competitive. So you can still play Jamal Murray. He is chalk city. So is Russell Westbrook's not quite like that, but Russell's all right. Jokic, there's your decision point today. If you want to go with a star, is Giannis or Jokic? You got to make a decision. I see somebody in chat. Let me see if I remember the name.
They're calling me out. They're saying I was wrong about Joker. He's got 40 points or less in two of his last three games
have been duds for sure.
But, he's amazing. I made it very clear by his standards. Go ahead.
What is it? Who was it that in chat just a second ago says he'll take Jokic while everybody else takes Giannis. I get that take. I absolutely get it. But we'll talk about Giannis in a minute. I really like Giannis, and I might like him a little more than Jokic tonight. And I've been on the Jokic train. It has nothing to do with the two of the last three games. It has to do with something else. But don't besmirch. I don't besmirch anybody who wants to play Jokic over Giannis tonight. Not at all.
No. Of course not.
It's a good. So all these guys are in play, but that's what kind of makes Denver tough. Is that all these guys are in play? Not all these guys are going to get there. That's just not going to happen at a team at full strength. On the Philly side, we're missing Embiid, we're missing George. That usually means Tyrese Maxey takes on a big burden. He's going to crush because Denver is not good defensively this year at all. They're missing something. They're lacking something. So.
Did you see the defense versus archetype for Tyrese Maxey?
Against Denver, I would imagine that's a top 5 matchup.
Combo guards, number 1 defense
really?
Archetype against Denver. Combo guards. So,
wow.
I don't like the Maxey call at all.
Yeah, Maxey. I don't want a lot of these other guys, but the one other guy, if you're gonna sit and beat out and Drummond and some of these other guys, Yabusele is gonna get an uptick. He's 6K, but I think he pays that off tonight. So I don't mind the Maxey Yabusele combination there. Both of them in the same lineup's fine if you're going to ask me that. But I like those two guys. And Denver, I have a hard time running it back with anybody, but maybe Westbrook. And I'll go Westbrook number 1, Murray 2 as my 2 favorites. I'll let everybody else have their piece of the Aaron Gordon chalk. I'm not that much into that, but yeah, Maxey should crush, and Yabusele should make value, whatever you consider value tonight.
Yeah, Gordon coming, and again, there's not a lot of. I'll sort the entire slate in a second, but yeah, we're projecting Gordon for 30 minutes, and he's not been great, like you said. Agreed, but 30 minutes at 4-4 should be a good math play. It really should. That doesn't mean it's going to break you. It's just like the same deal with Diabate, right? Diabate is a good math play.
Okay, good math play. You're saying good math play in terms of 4-4 and the minutes. But what's the math play on Aaron Gordon versus the 45% ownership, 40 to 45% ownership. There's another. So at times like this, I ask myself, Dean, what would Squirrel do? Now, unfortunately,
WESD.
I don't have access to Squirrel's information anymore. He's not with us anymore. But
you can't DM him.
What would Squirrel?
He would answer your DMs.
He is absolutely too busy, right? He just won another 100K the other night, man.
Did he? Good for him.
God, he's amazing. But
I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's the math. I gotta. There's the two. You know, you're right. There's two math equations.
Yes.
4,400 versus Aaron Gordon's projection, or the Aaron Gordon projection versus the 45% ownership. Sometimes I have a hard time discerning between the two. So I let the experts give me the feedback on that.
The math I was going with, and you're right to raise the other question. 0.94. He's 0.94 fantasy points a minute in the season. Aaron Gordon, 0.94. I know this is not how it always works out, obviously, but it's how like projections are based off of in some way. Not that I'm projection savant. 0.94 times 30, at 4.4. So we're going to get, if we map that out, 27 fantasy points. And how does that factor into the current state of the team and the matchup and all that? We're got a median projection around 25. As far as the entire slate. Now, your point is, well, if he puts up 25 points, you're not like dead if you don't have him, obviously. Like you can survive that. You got to find other guys at similar price points that are better. And let's see, point per dollar on the slate. We only have, this could change. Only one player has a 6X or more projection. And it's the one I don't want to play. It's Diabate because they refused to raise his price on DK. On FanDuel as well, a little bit. 4.2. He's the only guy that's at 6X projected. 6.6 to get all technical. 27-ish is his current median projection with Paul Reed, the next guy. But that's also easier to get when you're 3K. It's much easier to 6X. Next up is Pirtle. We'll get to him. I wrote him up today, and that's kind of why I think paying up, or at least paying away from Diabate, is a good strategy today. One way to do that is with Joker, but I think Pirtle's another way. And I teased that earlier, Porzingis. I love Porzingis today as well. Then there's Oubre. By the way, also in this game, Oubre projects pretty well. And then finally, we get to Aaron Gordon, who's the fifth guy. And then you kind of tease the chop. The next one in line, we're not going to run them all down, but the next one in line is Giannis. And when you're 11-5 and you're the sixth best, point per dollar play in the slate, it means a couple things. It means there's not a lot of value in the slate, and it means that you are smashing. So, we'll talk about him as well against the Spurs. Anything else you want to stress as far as Philly and Denver? I am taking a peek here at our Discord channel, and it seems like we do not have a winner just yet. So we're going to go ahead and go with a fourth clue. Graduate, tough, pink. Fourth clue. This is not, if you tuned in late, this is not Film Friday. This is Franchise Friday. And the fourth clue is bank. Bank is the fourth clue. There you go. Have at it. Give me the answer in the Discord. Win yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. The Bulls are in Toronto. 232 is the total. Toronto is a 4-point favorite. Do we have any clarity? Has any news dropped on the questionable Toronto stuff? I don't think so. We mentioned that XM expected to be limited to 15 minutes. That is not surprising, seeing that it's a season debut for him. Okay, so the Bulls tonight, we have THT is questionable. Doesn't really matter a ton. Levine, of course, is still out. I believe his significant other is having a child. Congratulations to them. And Torrey Craig is out. As far as Toronto, Dick is questionable. Grady Dick is questionable. He's ill. We also have Kelly Olynyk's got a calf, so he's questionable. And kind of the big one is Emmanuel Quickley. He's got a hip, so he's questionable. Another stat I had today, Chop, for you, is Emmanuel Quickley. He's missed the last 8 games for Toronto, right? He missed Toronto's last 8 games. Over that period of time, last 8 games, Toronto, number 1 defensive rating. So I think I like the Bulls better tonight.
What?
Yeah.
Wouldn't never guess that one.
Toronto, we know that Toronto Quickley's not a good defender. So I would just say if Quickley comes back, I would slightly bump up the Bulls. I'm not saying Toronto's the best defense. Obviously, small sample stuff, and there's some reasons why. But they're number 1. They've been number 1 over the last 8 games.
Okay.
Well, Well, I mean, that's the sample we have.
I'm seeing a connection. No, it just hit me. It just hit me, Dean. It hit
the teams
me
they're playing against.
No, the connection between those numbers, the defense thing. It's because of my guy Jamal Shed, a Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year last year.
Oh, I did not make that connection. I didn't know he was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year.
He was one of the, yes, he was one of the best. He's one of the best on the ball. He's the best last year in college basketball on the ball defensive guards. So that makes sense. You get quickly out. You give Shed was getting 20 plus minutes a night recently. Yeah, that makes sense. But now Shed's out tonight probably. He's doubtful. And Quickly's in. So you're right. I expect a little reversion here, a little regression to the mean, as the kids would say. So, yeah, that's interesting, Dean. Good call. Good call. It's like Film Friday, Dean. We're piecing things together as it goes like that.
Hey, that's how it works, man. I think it's good. This show for me, like I come in prepared, I do my research and all that, but it's always good to have the conversation and, be willing to rechange and reconfigure and, reconsider and be willing to, new ideas. Like I didn't even think of the Shed thing. I didn't know Shed was a good defensive player, to be honest. I mean, I'm aware of his existence, but basically that's it because I don't watch a lot of college basketball and he hasn't played a ton this year. But that is of note. So how do we feel? And I think Quickly might come back tonight. We're projecting him in. So, and then Quickly in, Shed out, no Levine. So, the Bulls, White projects really well. Speaking of projections, he's looking like one of those guys that's probably going to be in your cash game lineup. 5'9" on DK. He had that minutes restriction last game, which turned out to be wrong, right? I think when they put him at 25 to 28, I believe he played through that by at least like 3 or 4 minutes. He played 31, right? So because he played for the first time like in 10 days or so. He was dealing with an ankle. But if Quickly's back, I think that's even better for him. And the absence of Levine is certainly helpful as well. But yeah, he looks like a really, really good play in the mid-tier for me. Of course, you can get the Giddey as well. Vooch is there as well. But like if you look at the usage stuff, without Levine, I was looking at the court IQ. He actually gets a slight negative. Now, I'm not saying he's a negative when Levine's out, but the sample we have this year, it's actually been a slight negative, like 1% as far as usage went down. Everybody else was going up. Just noteworthy. And again, center is just so cluttered. I like the center on your side of this game. Go ahead.
It's the thing that kind of stood out to me when I was trying to research, and you're looking at on, off, and games missed, and who does what when these guys are out. And we got plenty of notable injuries today from big guy, Embiid and George and LaMelo Ball and all. Well, Zach LaVine is a big injury. And, man, there's really nobody that, boom, jumps up and drastically benefits from LaVine just by the numbers. But somebody's got to benefit something because the guy plays a lot of minutes and takes a lot of shots every night. So somebody's got to step up. So I would imagine Kobe White is one of my favorites tonight at only 5,900. And he's going to get ownership, and I think being over the field is probably okay on that one. Ayu DeSomo, if you want to take a shot on that one, I like that one. You're right, the Vooch thing, he doesn't necessarily get a big boost. So while I like Vooch, it's not because Levine is out. It's just because I like Vooch in this matchup against Pirtle. That's it. And those two big guys should keep each other on the court plenty. It's like a catch-22, like a dog chasing his tail. The two bigs got to stay on because they got to challenge each other. And the coaches don't know that probably if you take one of them off and go with a different lineup, you probably got an advantage against the other guy, but they won't do that. So I like all these guys, man. The one guy who actually probably gets theoretically the biggest bump on paper when you look is Lonzo Ball. I don't know if I want to pay 47 for Lonzo and do that, but I can see him having a decent game here. Ceiling is capped on him. Not going to get a ton of minutes, but 47, if that's the route you want to go, he's probably the biggest beneficiary on paper of Zach LaVine being out. On the flip side, I really like Baird and Pirtle. I think I would pick one and run them in almost every lineup. Vooch is just not good at defending that rim. Both those guys can attack the rim. You could almost make a rule, and I'm not going to do it because I'm doing 100 lineups on FanDuel, and I don't want to bury 100 lineups. But you could almost make a rule and go, give me one Toronto Raptor in every lineup because Scotty Barnes is also in that mix. He does a lot of things good. He can attack this defense. So Bear, Pirtle, and Barnes all look really good tonight. I would rank them based on salary. Pirtle, Barrett, and Barnes for me. And I don't think I'm touching quickly. Just probably the minutes thing will probably scare me off. And the rest of those guys, even my guy Gravy Dick, man, I don't need him tonight. So I'm not gonna mess with it. But I like this game. This game's got a lot of firepower in it. You're on mute.
Oh. Dick is in, Kelly O is in, and then quickly in and starting. So I think that kind of hurts Toronto overall. All those guys are playing, right? So somebody's got to take a minutes hit somewhere. I know they're losing Shed, but okay. I'm just a little bit concerned. My one issue with Toronto is they've done a terrible job tanking of late. They've won 5 games in a row, which is just outrageous. The owners must be losing their minds up there. They've fallen all the way to 6th in the tankathon. I'm a little bit concerned about like minutes and stuff like that because they've certainly picked their spots, but
so has Brooklyn. Brooklyn's out there winning games after they traded to get their picks back so they could tank and maybe possibly get Cooper Flagg or somebody like that. They're out there winning games, man. Crazy.
So Washington, Utah, New Orleans, they're currently 1, 2, 3 in the tankathon, and like you all have 14% chance here if you're in the top 3 to get the number 1 pick. They've currently lost, Chop, 28 straight games in a row. Like these are teams that know what they're doing. Washington, Utah with all their fake injuries, it's incredible. They're doing a spectacular job. And like Brooklyn is, to be fair, they're only 2 and 8 in their last 10. They did win their last game though, so shame on them. But by the way, it's just January. It's just going to get so gross by the end of the season. I don't know what's going to be left, like how much worse they can make this, but it is the worst of the NBA. It really is terrible. But it also makes sense. Like, why wouldn't you be tanking? What else is the point? What else are you going to do? We did get a winner. We got a winner. They caught up to you, Chop, in Franchise Friday. I will drop the 5th clue just for funsies. The 5th clue is Blade. So graduate, Tough, Pink, Bank, and Blade. And we'll spell it out why we got where we got. Shout out to Philly Laker. Philly Laker took it down a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. Okay. Moving on. Yes, I think so. Giannis and the Bucks at San Antonio. 235 is a total. It's high and tight, right? Milwaukee is a 1.5 point favorite in San Antonio. Who's in, who's out? San Antonio fully healthy for all the players that matter. As far as Milwaukee, they are without Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis out for personal reasons. Lillard officially probable. He's got that groin. Giannis officially probable. He's always officially probable until for the random rare time they yank him out. He's got that patella. AJ Green is questionable. I don't think that matters a ton. All right, Chop. Yeah, Giannis, Wemby, those are the big boys. 2 of the big boys on this slate. We can start there. I guess we're starting at Giannis, who's probably going to be the most popular amongst the big spends, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure amongst the big spins, and he deserves to be tonight. It's not a matchup that bothers him. It hasn't in the past, so I wouldn't expect it to bother him tonight. He's gone up against Wemby now a couple times in his career, absolutely dominated this thing. So there's nothing there we're worried about. They're playing good basketball. San Antonio is good enough at home to keep it competitive, so we should get all full rotations out of Giannis and just being consistent lately. All that, plus the fact that Portis is out again, and while it doesn't seem that big on the surface, it absolutely gives Giannis just that little bit of a boost when Portis is out, enough to put him right there with Jokic, pound for pound with Jokic, and he's cheaper. So that's why I kind of lean towards him. He's more expensive. That's when you start to get in GPP play. You have to decide, do I want to go with Jokic, who could definitely outscore him by 10 or 15 at much lower ownership, or do I just want to play it safe and go with Giannis, because Giannis is very, very safe here. That's definitely in the mix right there. There's also Lillard's fine, 9K now. Middleton, if you wanted to take a chance at 5K, that's fine. I'm not really interested in the rest of these guys, just Giannis. And the Spurs, real quick, there's some fine pieces there. They're cheap enough with Vassell, Castle, Keldon Johnson. They're all in play if you wanted to go that route to save some money. Wemby at 11K, I'm probably going to pass and just spend the extra 500 and get Giannis. Wemby's good. He can be a slate breaker, but I prefer Giannis.
Seen a lot of minutes of late for Lopez. I don't know what the ceiling is for him, but 35, 35, 41, 35, 36, 34. It's a lot of minutes, but again, he's got to make a bunch of threes, and he's not a great rebounder for a big. You really can't count on the double-double. Pretty much never happens. Just thought it was interesting and of note, I suppose. But I think kind of the big question is, one of the big questions is, like Giannis and Diabate versus, two like Porzingis and Pirtle. Like that's kind of like one of the ideas. I think I need some water. One of the ideas I'm bouncing back and forth. That's not exactly right as far as the salary, but I love Giannis as much as the next guy. But if I'm not playing Diabate, and I've not officially settled on that, but I'm trying not to, at least on my main lineup. Well, maybe I won't be able to spend big because there's, again, not a lot of salary savers. Like big body Keldon Johnson showing up as a guy at 4K with a 20-point projection, 23 minutes. What do you really expect out of him? The floor could be rough. If he gets you 25, sure, that's fine. And, takes care of a small forward position. But it's slim pickings tonight for cheapies, Chop. You mentioned Castle. Castle's fine. What do you think San Antonio is going to do, if anything? Are they waiting? Because, there's thoughts that they can get Fox, if not this year, next year. Supposedly Castle might be a chip. Maybe they can just hold on to him because they're not one player away, and like Wemby's only getting better, right? Like, he's somebody to only build around. And never does San Antonio get like these big name free agents, but never has the ability. Like, wait, I can play with that dude. Okay, I'll go to San Antonio for a couple of years.
Yeah, I think where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's a lot of Fox to San Antonio smoke. I think that's a move that gets made sooner rather than later for sure, and it's scary, man, for the rest of the league. If you think about putting anybody with Wemby of any kind of vague remote talent, man, with Wemby, it's going to get ugly, man. So for the league, real soon. So I think the Spurs definitely. Because the Spurs also got to think, how long can we wait to not build something around him, like a legit star around him? At some point, he's going to walk too. He's going to say, well, you didn't do enough. I'm going to get out of here. You got to keep him happy, which means getting him somebody like Fox right away. So I think that's going to happen. And, I think that they'd be willing to lose anybody on this roster except for Wemby. And so it'll happen. So, yeah.
Well, maybe like Giannis, he's not American born. He has no allegiance to any particular city or region or whatever. And like, he seems, at least for a while, happy in Milwaukee. I guess he's still happy in Milwaukee. And, Milwaukee is one of those cities that aren't well sought after free agent wise for whatever reason. Maybe, same deal with Wemby. Just like, what's the difference in San Antonio and Miami to him? I don't know. I'm not sure. You never really know what he's into. But maybe he'll stick around long term. And like, they had Duncan and Robinson stay there forever.
They were winning championships. They all came in around the same time, and they built it together, and they started winning together. Let's say Wemby goes another 2 years, and they're not winning, and they didn't make an effort to get Fox or anybody else, and then he's up for one of those massive extensions. Does he take it, or does he hold off and say, you didn't do enough? I get it. And Giannis, man, Giannis is just a unique individual off the court, on and off the court.
He seems great. I love him.
I don't think he has a different mindset, and it's good. And so I think he's just built different like that.
All right. Anything else of note here as far as San Antonio and Milwaukee, or are we moving on to, I guess it's a dual-pronged hammer, right? There are two games. Al Pacino being guest in chat. What is that? What is that for? I don't know. Just a rant. It's not Thespian Thursday or Tuesday, but just you never really know what the context. I might have missed something in chat, but it's just funny to randomly see his name pop up in chat for no particular reason. You got anything else, or moving on? Boston, New Orleans.
We're moving on.
Let's tell the people. Let's tell the people.
Sky. Where's that from? Do you guess the theme song?
The Jeffersons.
Oh, you got it. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the show probably in 30 years, but that's a chalk. Everyone knows that song. Okay. I still haven't taken my water. I'll take it in a second. Let's tell the people, Chop, how we got to Franchise Friday. The first clue wasn't that helpful, but it's really hard because it's a pool of like 150. I guess I can include like MLS teams and like, European soccer teams and like AAA teams. So I thought that would be not fair. So I couldn't just make a dead giveaway out the gate, but this team was created in 1967, and as an homage, what was the biggest hit movie in 1967?
The Graduate with Dustin Hoffman.
Did you put that together?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't think anybody put that together, but yeah, that this team was created in 1967 in The Graduate. Mrs. Robinson, are you trying to seduce me? That was 1967. Tough is a synonym with the name of their very famous mascot, which I thought that's what you figured out, but maybe you didn't. Tough was the second clue. It's a synonym of their very famous, one of the more famous mascots out there. You're going to power mascots. Really hit the scene hard the last like 5 years or so. Chop, you know this. You don't know Gritty? You know Gritty.
Gritty? No, I don't know Gritty.
You don't know this guy?
I mean, I know him, but I didn't. That's not where I got. That's not what I pieced together, though. But yeah, I've seen Gritty before.
Pink, I was hoping would just throw people off, but it's not obvious. But Pink, of course, is also not just a color, but a singer. The singer, Alicia Moore, was born and raised in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. So there you go. Bank, they play in an arena that's named after a bank. There's a lot of those, but they play in the Wells Fargo Center. And then 5, Blade was just telling you that it's a hockey team.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I stopped following after the first 2 when I got it, but I was like, all right, let's think here. So I got to narrow this down. I only got 2 clues. I got to narrow it down. Let's go to NHL because Dean is. It feels like a franchise he would pull is from the NHL and not something else.
It's not as obvious
because he's an NHL guy. So let's just think about NHL. I wasn't really getting anything at Graduate. Nothing was getting. And then you said Tough, and the first thing that clicked in my head was Bullies, Broad Street Bullies.
Wow.
And I was like, let's just take a guess then, and boom, it was right. So imagine.
I was going to mention Broad Street, but I think that was too. I think that was too on the nose, right? That's where they play in Broad Street, the Broad Street Bullies in the 70s.
Yeah, that would have been an easy one.
Yeah, and yeah, okay. Well, shout out to again, I believe it was Philly Laker that won a week free of RG Premium. There is your explanation for today's Franchise Friday. The last game, we got 15 minutes plus until crunch time comes in, so we have plenty of time. We'll also have time for questions. If you have any questions, fire them off there on the YouTube. If you guys are hanging out on YouTube, do hit that like button, do subscribe, do turn those notifications, do all those things to help us keep the lights on. It is much appreciated. Also, if you didn't win premium, you can just go ahead and you can pay for it. We're running a deal. Your first month, $79.99. Your first month of Combo Pro. If you're getting stuff a la carte, if you're getting basketball a la carte, it's just $5 more than basketball a la carte for your first month. Just $15 more than just PGA a la carte. But this is like football, baseball, basketball, hockey, MMA, PGA. I'm sure I missed something. NASCAR is a la carte. Also want to shout out Splash. Use the promo code ROTO10 for Splash. When you play $100 in Quick Picks, you're going to get another $50 back. Okay, let's talk about this last game. It is Boston. Boston is taking on New Orleans. We don't know about Zion. New Orleans is 11-point dog here. 232.5 is the total. That is a pretty big number. But again, Boston, possible blowout alert. Who's in? Who's out? Well, Boston is expected to have Horford. He's officially probable. Hauser is questionable. For New Orleans, Brandon Ingram, he's out. Jordan Hawkins is out. Herb Jones is out. Daniel Tice, no revenge. He's out. Zion, questionable. Illness, midday downgrade. Trade rumors. I feel like he doesn't play, but I don't know. And I think that really opens up Porzingis. And I guess it's going to have you consider, Misi will look better. And maybe JRE as like a dart, especially if he starts, but don't feel great about that. That's like a 1 in 150 deal. But yeah, Chop, what say you? Boston against the Pelicans. How you feeling about this one?
Well, I'd like to rant for a second, Dean, real fast, if you don't mind. I'd like to rant for a second because you mentioned Boston. You mentioned Al Horford.
Yeah.
And NBA DFS is already bad enough. It's tough enough. It's time-consuming enough. It's difficult enough. Just sitting down and just getting the news 5 minutes before tip-off that this guy's out. We got to readjust. We got to throw everything out. We got to follow it all night long. I got 30 minutes every wave of games. I've got to be on top of it or else I'm at a disadvantage. It's bad enough already. What I don't need is teams in the same night, especially, telling me Al Horford is active and going to play, and he doesn't play, and Bogdanovich is active and going to play on a team that's struggling with injuries, and he doesn't even see the court either, even though they're active. And like, the least you could do is tell me these guys are out. Like, that's the least you could do, man. And it's just it's atrocious. So this is the Al Horford again tonight. I'm not obviously not touching him there at full strength, but that's just terrible, Dean. Like,
Atlanta did it on back-to-back nights.
It's just awful stuff. Yeah.
They don't care. And the league doesn't care. The league, as long as the league doesn't care. And I don't know what the competitive edge is to that. Like, what is your competitive edge? That, like, oh, don't tell anybody, but Bogdanovich is not going to play tonight. Just report it in the middle of the game. Like, how would that change things? You know, the other team is in the locker room 20 minutes before the game. How do we stop this bogey guy? Like, there's no way. It's all nonsense. You're wasting time.
It's terrible. But we're on to tonight. We're not going to not play. That's the sad part of it all. We're going to not play. By the way, I'm going to ask for some refunds here if Terry Rozier actually did what they're saying. He does. I'm going to have to talk to somebody.
It makes no sense. Like, if he did or did, like, he's got so much money. Like, he made over $100 million in his life before taxes, before agents and all that. That's insane.
Well, I would have said that. I would have said, yeah. You know what? I used to hear about that stuff back in the day. These guys, I bet that guy's throwing the game. That looks like he's tanking the game or whatever in football and all that. And I used to always blow it off like, no chance, man. These guys are. And then, the guy Porter, Jonte Porter, like, he had a lot to lose. He had a lot to lose.
Mm-hmm.
He has an NBA career and he did it. I wouldn't put anything past anybody. It's really weird like that, but
just a lack of, like, long-term foresight.
You're gonna open up a can of worms, though, man. If stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like, people are looking back, going, you know what? Terry Rozier cost me several $100s here, and he might have been throwing this stuff off. And I don't know, man. I'm gonna want to be reimbursed. So we'll
I didn't go into the weeds on it, but the allegation was supposedly he stepped out of a game like to help a lady friend hit her under on Rozier. Is that something I thought I saw that pop up somewhere, but allegedly, I don't know that to be true and whatever, but supposedly that was floated out there, but it is weird.
Weird. So you got a full strength Boston team. I'm just not really into the New Orleans thing tonight. They got a lot of pieces, assuming Zion plays, which maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. They're spread out pretty good. I don't think there's anybody on New Orleans you have to have against Boston. That's a tough defense. I don't like that one. For Boston, yes. Now we get to some pieces that we can definitely use. Again, I'm going back to the thing I said earlier with Toronto, where you could make a rule, put a Toronto player on every roster. You can make a rule in limited lineups, 5, 10, or 20 line. If you're running limited lineups, make a rule. Give me Tatum or Brown in every line. One of those guys is going to go off on this defense. Couldn't tell you who, but they both fit the style of player that could crush this defense. And then I happened to look at the article today, the survey. You really like you some Porzingis. He matches up really well with this team too. So one of those three guys is absolutely going to crush in this game. And then you throw in Derek White, who can hit some three-pointers if he gets hot. He's in a pretty good spot here too. But I would definitely say Tatum or Brown, give me one of them in every lineup if I'm making 10 lineups or so. And then you can even sprinkle in Porzingis, one of those three guys, in a whole lot of lineups, man, because I think they're all in great shape. They all fit the mold of players who can crush the New Orleans defense, which is bad this year. And the only reason I don't say more than one is because of the fear of blowout. But even in a blowout, one of them is definitely getting there.
Yeah, so I really do like Porzingis. This is an awesome matchup for rebounds. Not that he's the greatest rebounder for a big, but he's a decent rebounder, sure. So let's see. They gave up the third most rebounders in basketball. That's New Orleans. They're without Daniel Tice. They're one of their best rebounders. We don't know if Zion's going to play or not. They give up the fifth most made threes. It's the third worst overall defense in general. And Yves Missi, I don't know how much defense you've seen him play this year. Well, you've seen him attempt to play defense, but he's not a good defensive player. Zinger is just going to work him. Like we see sometimes every once in a while he gets like those 20-point first quarters. Like I really like him coming out the gates. I might bet him first quarter, so you don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about any sort of blowout nonsense. And again, I don't know if Zion plays. I think there's a decent chance he doesn't. We do have an if then. If Zion's out, like projection wise, Murphy's going to project really well. If this game stays close, it's probably because Murphy's making a bunch of threes. Murray's going to look pretty good. And even McCollum and Missi, again, they're going to need him on the court. They're going to need his body. He probably has looked pretty good. And then there's the cheapies. I saw TJ, who's coming in soon, talking up JRE, which, 20 minutes or so, 25. He could be usable. Maybe Javonte Green, if you really squint. And if you think this game's going to blow out, Chop, what about your guy Grand Theft Alvarado, as a cheapie? Who I don't know if would he fully mop? I'm trying to see if close to it. He'd be the close to a full mopper. So if you want to play that angle, I think he's not the worst play at 3.8. He's also like kind of a spark plug off the bench if they somehow stick around, especially if Zion's out. I think Alvarado's that's a 1 in 100, that kind of thing. Ambitious. You're trying to win a large field thing. Not something I'm playing in single entry, but just floating it out there. TJ in chat. I don't know what not touching jalapenos. Okay, is that a nickname I'm not aware of, or are they talking about pizza? Okay, never mind. Yeah, 86 the jalapenos for me as well. I'm a heat sensitive, Chop. I don't know if you're, maybe we're not pizza compatible. I don't know.
Wow, but, I like a little spice on my food.
Yeah, I'm a wimp. I'm such a wimp. I could never go on that Wings show. The Hot Ones for multiple reasons.
I would. I'd do that show. I was. It is close. Last time Final Four was in San Antonio, which was many a years ago, and my kids were much smaller. I was this close to jumping up in there at FanFest and getting in the Buffalo Wild Wings challenge. They had
really?
They were running it every hour, like this wing eating challenge where like 10 competitors were on stage, and you had to eat wings, all that good stuff. I was this close to showing off for my kids, but I stopped myself from doing it.
Is that showing off? Like, would your kids have been like impressed if you
at that age? They would have been, yeah, okay. They would have been impressed. Yeah,
it's like impressed, and at a certain point they're like, "Oh no, that's not
right now." If we go down there right now, this year I go to FanFest and I do it. They're embarrassed. But back then they would have been like, "Oh, that's Dad! Look at Dad up there."
This is a good note here. Lonzo Ball cleared to play around 28 minutes moving forward. I think he's going to project better now. How about that? What are we projecting him for? Do we move him to 28? What do we currently have him at? Probably 25 or so. We got him at 25. Yeah, if we give him a couple more, and Quickly's playing, and your boy Sheed's not. So is it Cheat or Shed? It's Sheed, right?
Shed.
Yeah, I knew I said it wrong. Yeah. All right. I never get that right for some reason. I want to think of it. He's like somehow related to Rasheed Wallace, even though it's his first name. Question in chat here, Chop. Billy's got a question. Single entry DraftKings core plays. Is Pirtle, Missi, Tatum a good start? Go ahead. I would say Misi's a much better start if Zion's out.
That and just the fact that, yeah, he's the throw-in of those three, and it's fine. There's probably a couple other guys you could replace him with if you really wanted to, but the other two are definitely a great core to start off with. I love that.
Let's see. Julius Randle. He was on my best team last night. He's one of my. He's got a groin. He's not playing basketball tomorrow. This is DFS. We care about today, not tomorrow, but of note. Any other questions floating around there in chat? I'm trying to see. McCollum or Brown? Derek wants to know for DK tournaments.
Brown for sure.
What if Zion's out? Still Brown?
Yeah, I think Brown. Closer, but Brown is one of those guys. Tatum or Brown, one of them is going to lock and load tonight, big time.
Your guy Butto, he wants you to pick two of these centers: Zubac, the Zinger, Porzingis, or Gafford. I like all three of those guys.
Yeah, I like them too. I would, man, that's a tough one, but just because of the game itself, the blowout factor, all that, I would leave off Zubac, even though he's really good. But you're asking me to split hairs. I would leave off Zubac.
All right, this is a question. Oh boy, I don't like this one. We Major wants to know. This is just salary squeeze tonight. Trent or Alvarado for FanDuel tournaments?
Oh my gosh, man. Well, it's Alvarado. For FanDuel tournaments, it's Alvarado. I mean, if he gets going, it's because he's stealing the ball, defensive stats, and that really pays off on FanDuel anyway. So he fits the scoring better. And I think there's just no way Trent has more upside. They both have a really low floor. Trent has like no upside. Alvarado has some upside at least.
Trent would look a little bit better if Green is out. AJ Green is still questionable, but I think I agree with you. I think Alvarado is going to have more ceiling games. He's volatile though, but they both are. Trent's relying on his three. Zevon wants to know, Chop, Vassell or Jaylen Brown? Like those are different price tiers.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm going to bat 100% on this one and take Jaylen Brown.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's some context that was not really added, but Blackman wants to know Zubac or Pirtle for FanDuel tournaments. So we're whittling it down to those two.
I like Pirtle, man. I like Pirtle tonight. I think he is he can get there. I like Pirtle.
I got a 2v2 for you. Zubac and White versus Pirtle and Ao for FanDuel tournaments.
Which White is that? Is that Derek? Is that Kobe?
I assumed that was Kobe, but that's
okay. Let's say it's Kobe. I'll still. Oh man, Kobe's good, but Pirtle. Oh man, that's a tough one, man. Pirtle and Io and Pirtle.
Was he asking about the Brown on Toronto instead? Oh, so Bruce Brown, if that's the case, I don't think he's very interesting anymore.
Nah, he stinks.
Yeah, I mean, because everybody's back. What is he projected for? Quickly's officially in. Bruce Brown is projected for 22 minutes. I mean, I'm not in on Bruce Brown today. There's too many guys. So if that's who it is, I know we played him a couple days ago. Things are different. Guys are out. Eric wants to know if we're on Cade. How do you feel about Cade? I like Cade. I don't know if I'm prioritizing him, but I like him.
Cade. He's good. He's fine. He's good for a triple-double. I'm not the matchup isn't imposing. It's all good. The only problem I have with Cade tonight is that Tatum and Maxey are just under him in salary, and I like both those guys. And if I just spend up a little more, I can get Giannis. So kind of gets lost in no man's land for me.
Oh, boy. Let's see. Question in chat from Jim. For value on DK, JRE, Robinson Earl, or Jalen Smith for Chicago? I mean, isn't Robinson Earl power forward? I mean, we kind of sort of need Zion out, though, for that, right? But I think Robinson Earl is power forward, so that's at least a tiebreaker for me because Jalen Smith is at the mercy of Vooch minutes, right?
I'd still go Jalen Smith right now.
What if we get Zion out?
I'd still go Jalen Smith probably.
All right, Chop. 2 questions. We have crunch time knocking on the door. They're coming in here momentarily. 2 questions. Player you're most afraid of not having enough of, not afraid of being in your lineups, and who's going to beat you? And then who's breaking the slate, Chop? Who do you got breaking the slate tonight?
Well, the player I'm scared of not having is definitely Jokic because I just don't see how I get to him when I like Giannis, and I would probably play Cade. And I like Tatum and Max. I just don't see myself playing Jokic. He could crush with like an 80-point game. So I'm scared of that one.
Zion out.
Okay.
I wish that came later.
That's fine. Okay. All right. Well, let me see here. Yeah, that doesn't. I can't change the answer to my next question based on that. That doesn't move the needle enough for me. But
yeah, kind of
got a lot of I've got several. Man, Dean, I can't do that one for you. I want to do this one, but I can't do that for you. I'm gonna go.
You want to give me both? You can give me both.
All right, I'm going. I'm looking for lower ownership, and I'm looking for not the big time salary. So I'm going some lower range guys for you. I already liked the Lonzo Ball uptick with Zach LaVine out, and I like the matchup. So I'm going to say Lonzo Ball more than pays off that 4,700 to salary with a minutes increase. I think he hopefully he crushes it. And my other guy, I was looking for a little bit of value is Yabusele. I think he's going to have a good game today.
We did bump up Ball to 28 minutes, and I imagine that's going to change things to some effect. And I'm with you, by the way. I'm afraid of not having a lot of Wemby, not having a lot of Joker, and not having a lot of Giannis. I think it's kind of like a mid-tier slate for me. I think. We'll see. We'll figure it out. But Lonzo also introduces another cheapie that certainly looks pretty good. I'm on board with that as well. But I imagine ownership's going to follow. We got 41 minutes of crunch time. It's Kevin Roth. It's TJ Zwarych. Who else is coming in for crunch time? Did I forget? I apologize. I don't recall who else it was. I did a terrible job.
Bobby Gomes on his birthday. Wow. How did you forget that?
I'm messing with Bobby. Let's go ahead and cue it up. Let's fire up crunch time. Shout out to Bobby Gomes, birthday narrative, man of the people. Were we all supposed to hold up a dog? I did not get the memo. Sorry. Chop, get your dog. I hope you have one.
I have a kid in the back room. I can get my kid.
Grab a couple toddlers, but it's going to get loud.
My dog got into something on the ground. He ate something, and you know what I'm saying? I'm not
just yakking on the bone.
He's been outside all day long doing his business. I ain't touching him right now.
He gets punished? Like you throw him outside for the day?
Oh no, I wouldn't call it punishment.
Okay.
You don't want him shitting inside, Dean.
Yeah, Dean. He's got a sensitive stomach, man.
I know it's a matter of saying he's not literally shitting all day. It's not.
He is pretty close, man.
Possible.
He's pretty close. Yeah.
At some point,
them little dogs with them sensitive stomachs.
All right, fair enough.
Rough scene.
The chat's giving you some love here, Bobby. Happy birthday! Look at you working on your birthday. Blame Noto. Noto stuck you with this shift, or he had to go see his nephew play basketball. The nerve.
Well, I would always step in for Noto. My favorite guys in the industry. No problem on my birthday.
Well, TJ's right here. You're going to say that about Noto?
What?
I think he said one of his favorite guys in the industry. I think.
I'm just trying to say
I said one of my favorite guys in the industry, Noto.
You have power rankings or just off the top of your head? Or
I can assure you, Dean, that if I did, both TJ and Noto would be ahead of you. I can assure you that.
Understood.
And Chop.
What about
Chop ahead of TJ and Noto?
I'm a weatherman. I don't
I
count.
have to get on Chop.
I also don't think anybody can be offended if somebody ranks Noto above them on the list. You know, that's just like, that's fair.
I would say Noto is probably the nicest guy in the entire industry, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fight you on that. Yeah. I don't think anybody would disagree. But Roth, how are things? The second nicest guy in the industry, Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth.
I don't know if I'm in the industry. I'm industry adjacent. I'm related. Things are good.
Roth, you're on the damn crunch time every day. Yeah. You're balls deep in the industry, brother.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. I'm trying to deny it, but I think you're right.
You get basketball takes.
Yeah, that's true. I've got some hot takes on occasion. I had a hot take about that Joker was going to drop 80 last time he played, and he had 2 points at halftime. So I'm really, really crushing this.
The other thing, Roth, like 80 is not really a hot take for Joker. Like it's not. You got to go higher.
But I was like, you got to play him. He's gonna dominate for me, and he literally had the worst game he's ever had ever.
So maybe are you playing tonight, Roth? Are you
Yeah, I got nothing better to do. Yeah.
Chop, you got anything else for the road before we step aside and get out of here?
No, we're good.
You don't want to tell the people who's going to win the Royal Rumble? You know people? You got sources?
Roman Reigns.
There you go. We got an answer out of Chop. All right. That was Chop. I was Dean. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do not go anywhere. You got 38 minutes. Nonstop NBA DFS conversation starts right now. Best host in the industry. It's Kevin Roth. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. I thought he was going to say best host in the industry is leaving now. And just signs out. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. It's crunch time. You know the drill too. The sharpest minds in the biz. We got birthday Bobby Gomes in the house. 29 years young, I believe. Just guessing.
It's a good number. Thank you, Rob. I'll take it.
Just guessing. Is there, we always talk about birthday narratives for players. Is there a birthday narrative for DFS? Like, are you going in a little extra on your birthday?
Not a little extra. Same every time.
Okay.
I can't believe I'm older than Bobby.
Guess what you are, TJ? How old are you?
I'm 31.
I'm 36, TJ. So
No, you're 29. I'm 2 years older.
No, it's a joke.
I know. I was trying to continue the bit.
And we all dropped the ball.
I guess I
And womp womp. We got TJ in the house. He is the youngest man in all of RotoGrinders, I think. What up, TJ? How are you, youngin?
Yeah, probably doing pretty well. Had a busy day today, talking some Severance on Apple TV Plus, and wrote another review for a show that's coming out that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. And so busy day so far, and we're running 150 lineups tonight, and I'm excited to play. It's a fun little slate.
Okay, I've heard great things about Severance and a few other shows on Apple TV, but it's the one thing that I'm like, I pay for 6 other subscriptions. I just can't get on board with one more for whatever reason. I just can't do it.
I mean, there are like so many different ways to get free Apple TV Plus with other subscriptions. So like if you just go and download the app, you can get 3 free months right off the hop, and then you can figure it out after that. So and it's enough to binge Ted Lasso, Severance, and Shrinking.
Right, yeah, hit the key ones. All right, I like that plan. You should write a whole article just on how to game the system like that. I would read that one for sure.
I like it when they send me things. I don't know if I want to piss them off.
That's a good point. Yeah. Keep the money train rolling. Guys, we're here to talk some DFS. We got a nice NBA slate to dive into. TJ, would you mind giving me a breakdown if, let's say, maybe I was just dealing with 2 kids all day and have not been keeping up with the news?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's one game in particular that really stands out as my favorite DFS game, but we got a lot of spend ups on the slate with not a ton of value. There are a bunch of stuff maybe opened up with Zion Williamson getting ruled out a minute ago. I was really, or 5-10 minutes ago, I was really hoping we were going to get that news after lock, but we did get news Zion is in. We're not really waiting on any news now. Like, it's going to be a pretty easy breakdown all the way through. Emmanuel Quickly has been ruled in. Zion's been ruled out. We don't really have any other Q tags that we're going to be worried about here, so we can just dive right into it. Only 6 games, and so it's kind of like in that sweet spot. Like that's my favorite size slate right there.
Yeah, right. It's not like the 2 or 3 gamer where you got to do weird stuff. It's not the 12 games where there's too much going on. It's just right. It's the Goldilocks slate size. I did get a comment that I thought was funny. Michael says, I'm wearing socks older than TJ. I don't know why that made me laugh. It's possible. That is a realistic possibility, which makes it even better.
Yes, Johnson says he has baseball cards older than me. Well, I have sports cards older than me too.
That's less impressive. Yeah, right. I
got a nice signed Gary Payton card, college card, sitting in a little somewhere around here right now.
Okay, all right. What's it worth? Just ballpark.
Probably like $40, $80.
All right. I mean, hey, that's pretty good. Let's dive into what we're doing here. And Bobby, we like to start on FanDuel. We like to start at point guard and work our way down the list. So who do you have as your favorites there? FD, PG.
Yeah, FD point guard. For me right now, Tyrese Maxey seems to be the one that I have the most interest in. Sixers are without Joel Embiid, Paul George. Just think it's a real good spot for Maxey. We're talking cash first, correct? Or tournaments?
All of it. Cash, tournaments, everything you like.
Yeah, then Cade would probably be up next. Don't mind Cade tonight. Think he's in a good spot. Tight spread there in Detroit, so don't mind Cade. Dame at 9-2, I'm fine with. I think he's an interest.
Bobby got a call. I heard someone like Google call him, and now we've lost his audio. Are you still there, Bobby?
I'm still here. Yep.
Okay. Did someone Skype you? Someone try to?
Yeah, someone tried to Skype me. Group in Discord. Yeah, outside of that, from the point guard position, just going down. I think you can consider pretty much there. Just Lonzo Ball at 4.7, I think is fine. Oh, that's DK. Sorry.
Cheap on FanDuel though.
Yeah, he's 4.9 on FanDuel
as well. Kobe White at 6.1. I think he's a point guard that you can consider. Who else? Drew Holiday at 5.1, I think is interesting. Yeah. Kyrie Irving at 8.9, shooting guard, point guard eligible. I think you play him as well.
Okay, very good. TJ, your favorites there, point guard on FanDuel.
Yeah, from a cash perspective, it's really just Maxey and the Bulls. You can play. You have Dosunmu and White with the shooting guard and point guard eligibility. Ball only point guard. You're playing Maxey as a spend up for sure in a cash setting. And then I think my favorite way to go about it is just to play all three Bulls: Dosunmu, White, and Ball. Play Ball at the point guard, Dosunmu and White at the shooting guard position. In tournaments, I think I'd want to play at least one of those three in every lineup, but I am still cool playing all three of them. And then if I was playing all three, I would probably just want a Toronto run back. I said in our kind of rundown, there's one game that stands out as my favorite DFS game. It's that one. It's going pretty heavily owned, but I honestly don't think it's going heavily owned enough. Kobe White only being 31, 32, 33% owned without Zach LaVine, and Dosunmu's underpriced, Ball's underpriced. I really love this whole team today. And so Chicago and Toronto is going to be where I'm focusing in on a lot of my lineups. Outside of that, on FanDuel, Cade Cunningham. If I'm not going to the Chicago guys, I'm probably spending up. Mm-hmm. So Cade Cunningham would be my favorite pivot off of Tyrese Maxey. Josh Giddey, I think, is a very strong pivot. You stay with the Bulls, but just go to one of the ones that's going to be far lower owned. I think Giddey is a great tournament play today. And for FanDuel, that's probably about it. I have a few more options I'd be willing to take shots on DraftKings. Sure, you could do Harden. You could absolutely do Kyrie, but I just don't think I'm going to be getting there, especially on FanDuel. I'd have a tighter pool.
Okay, so save money with the Bull or spend up is your plan at point guard. How about shooting guard? And LMI says, any love for Castle, who is, I believe, point guard, shooting guard eligible?
Castle, totally fine. I think I'd probably rather play him in shooting guard, but he is very much in play for a salary saver as well. I think a lot of people will be looking at probably at least one of Ball, Castle, Malik Beasley here at the shooting guard position. They're all right in the high 4s, low 5K range. Just based on the ownership, I would probably have them ranked Ball 1, Castle 2, Malik Beasley 3. Beasley's currently projecting as the highest owned, but I'd want to get underweight to that. Emmanuel Quickly is going to be on a minutes limit of some kind. We have absolutely seen him come back from injury and just play 32, 33 minutes in his first game back. So that minutes limit might just be not 36.
Right.
We don't know for sure, but he's cheap enough on FanDuel that I still think he makes for a strong play. I don't know how much I love him at that ownership, but I still think he's probably going to be a guy that gets you 35 fantasy points tonight, which is solid for his price. I do just worry about the ceiling. If he is only going to play like 30 minutes and he's going to be close to 30% owned.
Okay. And then we did get a question. Any thoughts on my best friend, Eric Gordon? I don't know if you guys know we're best friends. Oh, actually, that was DK. I just wanted to take that opportunity to point out that we're best friends. We'll hold off on that question.
No, absolutely not. We can still handle it. It's a quick absolutely not.
No, it's just a no. All right. I won't tell him you said that. Bobby, what do you like at shooting guard? I thought you pieced out on us for your birthday. I wouldn't have even been mad. I would have allowed it, but you're back and you got to walk us through shooting guard.
Yeah, Ayo and Kobe with LaVine out. I think they're in very strong spots. Ayo at 5'6", Kobe White at 6'1". Kelly Oubre, same thing. Paul George and Embiid are out. Should see a bump there for Kelly Oubre, so don't mind him. TJ hit on quickly. I like Kyrie Irving in tournaments, shooting guard, point guard eligible. I think he has one of the higher ceilings on the slate. So at 8-9, I'm fine getting to him a little bit.
Okay, you get to take us to the small forward spot. What are you doing at the 3?
Yeah, in terms of small forward, Keldon Johnson, I think he's going to be the overall chalk. Kelly Oubre as well, shooting guard, small forward. Malik Beasley could play at 5'2". I think he's perfectly fine. From a tournament perspective, I think Scotty Barnes at 9'7", power forward and small forward eligibility versus Chicago. Chicago plays pace up. I think he's He's going to be around like 15% owned. We have him at currently. I think that's fine for tournaments. So I don't mind getting to him a little bit.
It's crazy to see him as almost a 10K player, but like he is that dude. So I guess that could work. TJ, what do you got at small forward? No, Bobby. Yeah. I did that right. TJ, what do you got at small forward?
You nailed it. Top tier. Yeah, we talked about Malik Beasley before. What does make him a little bit more appealing on FanDuel is he does have that small forward eligibility. And so I talked about not really liking him as shooting guard, but I'm more fine playing him at small forward. Keldon Johnson's probably my favorite tournament fade on the slates on FanDuel, 31% projected ownership. He just hasn't really done anything. He hasn't done anything at all. And if you want to throw in an additional, like, probably not going to happen, but you never know. There's been massive rumors of a big trade for De'Aaron Fox with a multiple teams involved and things switching around. So you never know. Somebody could get a second scratch. I'm not factoring that into things at all, but just for adding an additional reason why I could be potentially right fading Keldon Johnson.
Just in case he goes off, you can be like, well, I was worried about that trade. It's
yeah, exactly. No, I don't even want that. I don't want that to sound like a reason why I'd be fading him. So he's, because of his poor performance, somebody I'm going to be looking to fade today. Other guys that I like, though, Oubre at 73, I think is fine, but his price on FanDuel kind of worries me a little bit. I saw some people in chat talking about Trey Murphy, no Zion Williamson. I think it's all right, but I do worry about a blowout in that one. I kind of feel like this is a position I would just be comfortable playing a punt that isn't going to be highly owned. So you just pick somebody who none of these guys feel all that great today, but why not take a shot on a New Orleans player that nobody's going to be going to? And I do like this way better on DraftKings because they're cheaper. But like a Javonte Green, a Brandon Boston above 4K, I don't know if I could do it on FanDuel, but it's just a position where I hate the chalk. Mm-hmm. And so I think my favorite of the group, he's more expensive on FanDuel than DraftKings, but my favorite of the group today is probably going to be RJ Barrett at 8K.
Okay, very good. Take me to power forward.
Power forward, we got some spend ups to choose from. You got Giannis, who's going to be super highly owned today, and Victor Wembanyama, who's going to be less than half owned, less than half the ownership of Giannis Antetokounmpo at only $100 less. So I like taking a shot there in that matchup if I'm going to one of the spend ups. Kristaps Porzingis, PJ Washington is a guy that I really like in tournaments tonight. A lot of people are going to be going to Sohan and Aaron Gordon as salary savers today. I don't mind Jeremy Sohan as a pivot off of both Aaron Gordon and Keldon Johnson today. But Gordon at 5,300, that is a nice price tag. Somebody I'd probably be looking to at cash games, even better on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings. I don't think I mentioned Leonard in that group of Leonard, Porzingis, Washington above the 7K. All pretty solid there. Those are the guys I'd be looking to go to.
Okay, very good. Bobby coming in, talking about 4. Eric says no mention of Scotty Barnes. Oh, no. You mentioned him. I mentioned him. We mentioned him. What are you doing at the 4, Bobby?
Yeah, I tagged Barnes earlier today at 5.2. I'm fine with Barnes. Just at that price tag. I will say, like, for $1,000 up from Keldon Johnson, I don't mind that. I think Giannis is a top spend at power forward. Porzingis versus the Pelicans, I think, stands out a good bit. Victor Wemby at 11.8 on FanDuel, just for the ceiling upside in general. Like, I feel like Giannis has a higher ceiling, so he'll probably come in higher owned, but you can always flip them, and Wemby is always can always put up a game like Giannis. TJ hit on Aaron Gordon. Don't mind him at 5.3 at power forward. He only has power forward eligibility, though, so just something to keep in mind. And that's pretty much it from the power forward position.
I want to get to 5, but first, Jackson asks, and I think this is if I'm not mistaken, the Bulls rookie, Buzelius. Is that? I'm sure I butchered that pronunciation, but you know who I'm talking about, Bobby?
3.9. We have him for 17 minutes. I don't know. I don't have a ton of interest. Maybe TJ does.
TJ, any interest? I feel like he's a dude they want to get more playing time, right? They want to develop him. There are people out, maybe.
I mean, we've hoped they've wanted to play him more in these types of situations all season long, and they just haven't done it. If they want to play him more, they could just do it.
Just do it.
And so I'm comfortable throwing him in like 5% in 150 lineups, but that's it.
Yeah. All right. I just saw him like cross a dude over and then dunk on someone else the other night, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I want more of that guy." But one play does not make a great player.
Well, he's in the dunk competition.
Oh, is he? Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Bobby, did you take me to center yet?
I did not take you to center yet. We can hop over to center.
Yeah.
So Diabate getting the rainbow from pretty much everyone. I would imagine he's going to be very chalky on FanDuel. I think he's fine. Porzingis is the one that I really like for tournaments versus the Pelicans. Dean wrote him up. I think he's fine for tournaments. And if you didn't want to play Diabate, playing Porzingis and playing him in cash, I think works out. Jalen Duren been playing very well late. I don't mind him. Jacob Poeltl. Just the center's extremely strong. Like you could always pay up for Yoke. So maybe a guy like Poeltl kind of gets lost in the shuffle. That's pretty much center for me.
Okay. TJ, your favorites at center?
Yeah, spend ups like Wembanyama and Jokic are great if you can get there. I think Wemby is probably my favorite of the big spend ups, but Jokic is tough to get to at 12-8. No one's doing it. If you're playing a ton of lineups, you're playing 20, get them in 1, and you're over the field. If you're playing 150, get them in 10, and you're way over the field. So really like that for large field tournaments today. Love the Jakob Poeltl call. I think he's a great play. If you're playing a single entry, I think you can play a pretty chalky lineup and just don't play Diabate or Keldon Johnson.
Yeah,
you're good on FanDuel. Like that is different enough.
Mm-hmm.
And those are, I think, by far the best large field tournament plays on the slate today. My favorite way to play chalk and not play those guys is to just stack up Toronto and Chicago, play some RJ Barrett at low ownership, and then play Poeltl and play the chalk Chicago guys. That's like my favorite style of build today.
Yeah, you felt pretty comfortable fading Keldon Johnson. How do you feel about fading Diabate? Are you more nervous about that one?
Nervous about it on DraftKings, where the salary is he's a little bit cheaper, and you can play 2 centers. On FanDuel, not nervous about it at all because it's such a strong position. I think you can very, very, very comfortably fade Diabate.
Yeah. Okay. Good
like
stuff.
I'm going half the field on DraftKings. I have about 20%. On FanDuel, I'd fully hit the X button.
Okay. Perfectly said. Guys, we want to kick it over to DK first, though. We want to make sure that you were checking
one
out.
Other that I love, forgot to mention, Ivica Zubac, 7,700, projecting for super low ownership. I think he could have a huge game tonight against Charlotte.
Okay. I saw maybe it was Eric Johnson in the chat being like, it's going to be a blowout. Why do we want him? Any concerns there or just?
Well, Eric said, why does everybody like Zubac today? But he's projecting for less than 1% ownership on FanDuel. So everybody.
Yeah.
He says, I don't understand.
That should be an Eric play.
There's no Zubac love.
That's
Eric play. Such a good play.
Yeah.
I feel like Eric would be on that ownership.
Yeah. They say, I don't understand the Zubac love. McMill says, what's a great site for lineups other than RotoWire? RotoGrinders is the site that you're looking for. RotoGrinders also giving out a great deal right now for a limited time. You can get your first month of Combo Pro for $79.99. It's just $15 more than PGA Premium. It's $5 more than NBA Premium. It is a great value play. You get access to all kinds of premium access, and you got a deal going on right now for all the sports for $79.99. So now is the time to sign up. There we go. A bunch of people putting the link in the chat. That's what I like to see. Let's kick it over to DK. And since Bobby started us on FanDuel, TJ, you get to start us off on DK at point guard.
Yeah, so it's once again a tale of Tyrese Maxey and the Bulls. Those are the guys you're going to in a cash game setting. You're probably today, if you're not using a center at the utility position, it's definitely going to be a point guard. I have 80% Kobe White, 69% Dosunmu, 37% Lonzo Ball, and those are my 3 highest owned point guards today. I'm getting to a lot of Tyrese Maxey, Cade Cunningham. I want to be over the field on. And then I am taking, it's just because they're going to be low owned, I'm going to be over the field on James Harden. I'm going to be under on Damian Lillard, which worries me a little bit. but I want to get to guys like Josh Giddey, who I don't really get why nobody's playing today when we want all the other guards on Chicago. Yes, the other ones are a lot cheaper, but still, he's in a very good spot as well. And then I am going to take some gross cheap shots on a few guys, like Jose Alvarado for the Pelicans. And also I'm getting to some KJ Simpson for Charlotte, guy who played 26 minutes last game. They're without LaMelo Ball. I think they're going to get absolutely blown the heck out by the Clippers. And so I like getting to a little KJ Simpson, hoping he plays extended minutes. He's super duper cheap, and I think could maybe get you 20 fantasy points.
Okay, well, Smokin' and Chillin' earlier said I need a guard at 3,300 or less. Would Simpson be your man there?
34 for Simpson, but I think the guy you're looking to be going to in that spot, as we go over to shooting guard after Bobby talks point guard, would be Brandon Boston.
Boston. Okay, very good. Bobby, your favorite spots, your favorite guys at point.
Yeah, so TJ basically hit on the chalk guys being the 76ers and the Bulls. I really like the Giddey call at 7-2. I just don't think anyone really plays him, and everyone's going to play all those other guards. So I'm fine with that. Kyrie Irving at 8-8, seeing under 10% ownership. Don't mind getting to him versus Detroit. I think he's in an interesting spot for tournaments. TJ hit on Harden. Like him a good bit. Outside of that, I would say I'm fine with playing Lillard. I think Lillard is in a very good spot, and I'm even fine with him just being above the field on him in tournaments.
Yeah. Okay. How about shooting guard?
So shooting guard, just bringing it over. From a chalk perspective, it's going to be Kobe White, Kelly Oubre. We talked about the Bulls and the 76ers. I think you could throw Middleton in the mix a little bit there at 5-1 for the Bucks. I think Jaylen Brown is an interesting tournament play. Shooting guard, small forward eligibility at 7.8K. Jamal Murray has been on an absolute tear for Denver. People are playing a lot of these Philly guys, maybe running it back with the Murray. Obviously, most people are going to run it back with Yoke. I don't mind Murray at all. And then from there, I don't know. I'm trying to think through who else I would have interest. Malik Beasley at 5-1, shooting guard only. He's going to be relatively chalky. Maybe a play like I might want to get away from. Hear TJ's take on that. That's pretty much shooting guard for me.
Okay, TJ, shooting guard.
Yeah, this is the first position where I'm really going to start taking some gross shots on a few players. I mentioned Brandon Boston already at the shooting guard position. Not somebody that I'm feeling super good about, but I'm getting to a ton of these backups for the Pelicans. That's why I was really hoping we were going to get news for Zion after lock, not before lock. But even so, these backups aren't going to be very highly owned, and with no value on this slate, and a game I think is going to blow out, I'm going to play the cheap value for the Pelicans angle, and so I am getting some Brandon Boston. Kobe White and Sumu, 70 and 80%. Outside of that group, I have Kelly Oubre at 20, Castle at 10, mixing in a little Kyle Lowry as a cheap option, Jamal Murray and Beasley, but that's it. I have a super small pool here at shooting guard.
Okay, interesting. Take me to small forward.
Small forward, I have RJ Barrett in 40% of my lineups. He's going to be my favorite player at this position. It is very, very weak, so I think you can take shots on spend-ups like Scotty Barnes, Jason Tatum, even Jaylen Brown, or you punt. My favorite punting options are Brandon Boston and Javonte Green. Other guys I'm going to are 10% Michael Porter Jr. and then 5% each for Norman Powell and Kawhi.
Did you bring up Harry Barnes?
No Harrison Barnes for me.
Okay. I've seen a few people bringing him up, but
he's on my never list.
He's on the never list. That might be hurting you a little bit. He's been alive again. I don't know about good, but he's been alive. He's been functional. Bobby, who do you like at small forward, and do you have any Harrison Barnes?
I do have a little bit of Harrison Barnes, not a ton. Probably play about 5%.
Okay.
Keldon Johnson at the small forward position is going to be
Harrison Barnes. Damn you both.
Keldon Johnson is going to be the chalky option at small forward. I wouldn't mind getting away from Keldon. Favorite play from a chalk perspective probably be Chris Middleton. I think he's perfectly fine at that 5-1 price tag. And then from there, for tournaments at small forward, just kind of looking through Tatum, Barnes, Troy Murphy, Jaylen Brown. I think these guys are all very much in play. Can even go down to Michael Porter Jr. at 5'6".
Okay, take me to the power forward spot, Bobby.
Yeah, so at power forward, did we skip TJ for small forward?
We did. I don't know why. I don't know.
I did it. 40% RJ Barrett, Brandon Boston, Javonte Green.
Wonderful. Okay. Power forward, what are your thoughts, Bobby?
Well, Giannis is going to be the top play, followed by Tatum. I think spending up to Giannis is good. A good way to differentiate your build might be to get to Jokic on DK.
Mm-hmm.
Miles Bridges at 8'5". I think he's fine versus the Clippers. Sorry, I don't know why I said the Lakers. And Aaron Gordon versus the Nuggets. I think that would be the power forwards that I have the most interest in.
Very good. TJ, your favorites at the 4.
I accidentally just deleted my last lineup build because as I'm prepping for a new one. So the other one is going to be done in about 3 seconds here. But I know I'm going to be doing some punting with Jeremiah Robinson Earl. When I'm spending up, I'm going to be doing it with Giannis. But I do have I'm going to be under the field on Giannis so that I can be well over on Jokic and Wemby. If it bites me, it bites me. But I'm going to have still close to 20%. But I'll be under on Giannis. PJ Washington actually came in as my highest owned guy in this next group, getting to a decent amount of PJ at 25%. Javonte Green, power forward eligibility as well, getting to a lot of him. And yeah, that's basically the group.
Okay. I like the PJ Washington.
Oh, and Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon, of course. Aaron Gordon's probably a cash game option today. Went to the starting lineup, and he's well underpriced for that role. So Aaron Gordon's probably like a cash game play today.
Okay. On to the center spot. Always just personally my favorite position to break down. I got some questions about Zinger. Of course, we got Diabate chalk. TJ, what do you like there? And what's your overall plan of attack? And are you playing a lot of 2 center lineups?
Playing a lot of 2 center lineups, playing a lot of 2 point guard lineups. Those are basically the spots that I'm looking to go to today. I do have some Diabate in my pool, but I'm going to be well underweight. I only have 15% in my most recent build. I think that's chalk that we can get off of today. Jakob Poeltl is my favorite center. Some other punts I'm going with are guys like Paul Reed, Jeremiah Robinson Earl. I like them better than Diabate today. Wembanyama and Jokic, I'm going to be over the field. Vucevic, Porzingis, Gafford, I think are weird that those 3 are in the same sentence. I think are fine in the mid tier, but I'm just not getting to them in my build styles as much. And then I think Brook Lopez at super low ownership with no Bobby Portis is fine as well.
Yeah, it's just weird to see Wemby under 10% ever with that upside. Like you have to have some, right?
Yeah.
You gotta have a little Wemby. Bobby, what are you doing at center?
Diabate is the chalk. I'm fine with being over the field. I think Porzingis might be my favorite tournament play at 7K. Also spending up to Jokic is probably going to change your build a little bit, so I don't mind him as well. And we're only showing him at 13%. So anytime you get an opportunity on Jokic at that ownership, I think he's firmly in play. Nikola Vucevic is a way to kind of get off the Bulls. Not that you want to get off all the Bulls guards, but it's just a different way to play the Bulls, so I don't mind him. TJ mentioned Zubac on FanDuel. I think he's fine on DK as well. We're showing like 2% ownership. You really have to play 5 or 6%. Yeah, and Wemby, obviously, in the Milwaukee game where people are just going to play Giannis and you flip it and play Wemby.
Okay. Guys, we want to dive into some QQs. I do want to start with this, and maybe you have both already seen it. I do have some – yeah, we got some questions here. But first, a headline that I just saw here from Chinatown in the Discord. Pistons Isaiah Stewart is suspended and now will miss his own bobblehead night. Did you see this?
That's funny.
That's got to be a first, right? A guy missing his own bobblehead night. That's amazing.
Maybe sure, it's happened for like injury before.
I was about to say maybe for injuries that's happened before, but certainly something interesting. Michael coming in with a hot take about Aaron Gordon playing extra hard because of a death in his family. I don't know. I don't know. It sounds horrible. I honestly don't even want to think about it. What I do want to do is dive into some of these QQs. DK Cash, TJ, thoughts on Diabate and Duren going double center?
I would, if I'm doing double center, I'd probably rather do Diabate and Pirtle. I wouldn't be going to Duren and Cash personally on DraftKings.
Okay, he also says, would it be worrisome locking up both the center and util at 7 o'clock? Yeah.
I mean, we're not really waiting on any news, but
you never know. You never know. Let's see what we got. Bobby, FanDuel cash question for you. It's a 3v3. Nick Smith, Bridges, and Barnes, or Castle, Oubre, and Gutless Tatum?
Castle, Oubre, and Gutless Tatum.
Okay, right back to you, Bobby, from Boolies in the Discord. By the way, if you're not hanging out on the Discord, you should be. Large field GPP. Who is Ricky Council, and is he worth a dart throw?
No, he's been priced up.
Yeah, he has been priced up. I guess if you're playing large field, you can take a chance. I don't have any Council.
Okay, great. TJ, back to you. FanDuel cash, Aaron Gordon or Malik Beasley? Is Gordon the guy over there?
No, it's Beasley in that spot.
Oh, okay. Very interesting.
Gordon's the guy on FanDuel because he's so cheap.
Okay. Right. Jumping into the YouTube, make sure you hit us with that thumbs up. It is free content. This guy is working on his birthday, giving you the goods on his birthday. Give him a birthday thumbs up. Hit that like and subscribe here. We'll see what we've got. Here we go. FanDuel, TJ, Desumo and Oubre, or Castle and Barrett?
That one's so tough because I love the Desumo and Barrett pairing. But I would probably go Desumo Oubre.
Okay.
The other one will certainly be more lower. Castle Barrett will certainly be lower owned, though.
Okay. TJ, I'm coming back to you because I think this is a Raptors question. All right. Is Pirtle on the Raptors still or no?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. With Kellyo back, will Pirtle get less run tonight?
Probably not. No.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Great.
Kelly's more of a power forward and strictly a backup guy who's not going to play heavy minutes.
Okay. Bobby, coming to you from George in the YouTube chat. How do you feel about Paul Reed in a FanDuel tournament without Stewart, without Bobblehead Boy?
I think there's better center options.
Okay. Easy enough. Diego says, I know that TJ said Aaron Gordon for cash, but do you prefer Aaron Gordon or Yabusele? TJ?
So again, Aaron Gordon, that's just a DraftKings thing, not necessarily a FanDuel cash must, but even then still they're like $1,000 apart. So I don't really consider Yabusele a cash game option, but I guess if I had the salary to pick him and I didn't want to change the rest of my lineup, I guess it'd be Yabusele.
Sure. Okay. Bobby, right back to you here from Judy. FanDuel single entry, Scotty Barnes and Barrett together in the same lineup?
Yeah, I think that works.
And you're running it back if you're doing that, I assume?
Yep.
Yeah. DK single entry, Bobby, another one for you. Single entry GPP, I've got a lineup with Duren and Pirtle. Thoughts?
Duren and Pirtle, I think they're both probably a different way to play the slate because you're not playing Diabate, so I think you can do that.
Great. We'll go to Matt's question. DK Cash, TJ, this one's for you. Vassell and Pirtle or Boston Maxey?
Vassell and Pirtle or Boston and Max? Boston and Maxey.
Okay. Hall of Fame Fund says he's got a gambling question for you. Ricky Council, 15 plus real life points at plus 4,100. No, plus 410. 4,100.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. We're not really prepared. We're not really in the sports betting mindset right now. Anger says, TJ, do you think Ball's increased minutes restriction will transfer to game minutes tonight?
Yeah, I feel comfortable having him right at that 28-minute range.
Yeah, great. More questions coming in the RG Discord. Bobby, DKGPP from D-Rock, Misi and Beasley, or Diabate and Vassell?
Diabate and Vassell.
Very good. Booley says, Bobby, any point guards or shooting guards in Chicago that have a strong negative correlation with Giddey that I should avoid stacking? So you've got all this value on Chicago. Is there a dude who, if you're playing Giddey, you don't want alongside him?
Maybe Desumo. TJ, do you have a better answer for that?
Maybe Max. I mean, I'm comfortable with 3 of Ball, White, Desumo, Giddey.
Okay. And you don't really care
which of the three.
I
would never play the 4 of them together, but I'm comfortable with 3 of them as long as I have a Raptor on the team. 2 of them if I max 2 if I do not.
Yeah. Okay. Where are we at here? TJ, Justin Edwards or Keldon Johnson? You're anti-big body, so that's not even close.
I don't know. I don't have Justin Edwards either, though.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Yeah. Neither?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Can you give him like a pivot in that price range, but in that position? FanDuel, whatever Justin Edwards and Keldon Johnson cost, which was like 4-1 or something crazy cheap.
Yes, I can. I would just probably try a different range, but like, I guess Brad in Boston.
Okay, great. DK Cash, this appears to be a 3v3 for you, Bobby. We are less than 2 minutes until lock. Ball, Barrett, Duren, or Boston, DeJounte, and Hurdle the Turtle.
Ball, Barrett, Duren.
Okay, easy enough. Would you play Jokic? Woo! Bud Wiener says, Bobby, can you play Jokic and Giannis in a FanDuel GPP today?
It's FanDuel. You can only play. Yeah, I guess you can. I guess. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of tight to make that work. TJ, do you think you can make that work?
Giannis and who, sorry?
And
in
center,
Jokic.
Jokic. Sorry.
It's tough to do with the value on this slate. Large field tournament, sure, give it a shot. If you can make it happen, but it's definitely not the ideal approach, I think.
Yeah. All right. Christopher says, any love for B Brown on Toronto, TJ?
No.
Okay. Ball or Castle, Bobby? FanDuel GPP, Ball or Castle?
Ball.
Mm-hmm. Thoughts on Pat Williams on DK for a GPP, Bobby? Any interest in Pat?
No interest in Pat Williams.
Nope. Family agrees. Family says no. And with that, we have hit the lock. That's what we came here to do. Make sure you hit us with that little thumbs up for you before you bounce on out of here. We're going to go watch some basketball. We're going to make sure those lineups are looking mighty fine. So for TJ, for birthday Bobby, and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been